Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com. This is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Thank you, John, and congratulations. You've been nominated for yet one more award. Holy suffer and doodle cat.
Nice way to wake up this morning, yeah.
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
So this is a community award where people are nominating their favorite businesses that they feel make a difference in the community. And we've been nominated for Best Radio Station. So thank you to whomever it is who put our name forth. It's another... it's another in a long list of nominations we've received. I'm very grateful for it. Very proud of it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And can you assure us and your audience that if you win, you will not be overturning cop cars?
You have my absolute guarantee on that. I even put it in writing on my Facebook. What is with
cop
that?
car tipping?
What? I don't understand. Why? What possesses someone to do that?
Poor parenting.
Okay.
You know, why the hell some people think that the best way to celebrate is to smash things? It just beats the bejabbers out of me. I have no idea why some people think that. Dozens, maybe more than dozens, I don't know, but in the videos I've seen, there are dozens of so-called Montreal Canadian fans joyfully smashing storefronts, overturning police cars, attacking each other, to celebrate. This is the way apparently they celebrate. They smash things. Celebrate the Montreal victory. And by the way, when we're talking about victories, it was a great victory. I don't think anybody gave Montreal, the shadow of a chance.
I sure didn't. Nope, I thought they were done.
But to act the way some of those people did, it's ignorance beyond belief. These people really, as far as the mental capacity, have not advanced very much past the caveman age. In fact, I would think that if someone else had not invented the wheel, they'd still be trying to figure it out. It's not, and this is not an isolated event. I remember a number of years ago, a major riot in Vancouver after their team celebrated a big victory. I think maybe they won the Stanley Cup that year. But I remember a major riot all through the city of Vancouver, smashing things, millions of dollars worth of damage. Idiots, and if you notice, John, it's always men. I didn't see a single woman. Women are too smart for that. Mostly young men, although I noticed some of those people didn't look all that young. I have to tell you something. These people who smash things up like that, they are so stupid. Their brains are so devoid of proper functioning that they apparently can't even feel pain. I don't know if you saw the video. There's one video there, and there's a guy, and he's trying to smash the cop car window with his elbow. And bam, 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 about 8 or 9 times with his smashing his elbow into the window. And finally, he breaks the window. A normal person would be crying out in pain. Apparently, this guy is so dumb. Maybe there's no brain there at all. My understanding is if you don't have a brain, you don't feel pain.
Do you know what it takes to break a car window?
Well, to begin with, a lot of stupidity.
Well, but like police carry special tools, fire departments carry special tools to be able to bust those windows open should they need to get inside. They're not meant to be busted by a human arm.
This guy with his elbow, and as I say, very clearly he does not have a functioning brain, or the brain would have signaled to him, ouch, 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 don't do this, this hurts, you could break your elbow. No, and he smashed the window with his elbow. Oof. Great victory. And you know what? What really gets, in a way it's kind of funny, in a way it's kind of sad, that these people are so devoid of a normal life that this is a big victory for them. We're going to celebrate the Montreal Canadian victory we're going to have a victory of our own. We're going to smash a car window. This is a great, and you know what? They'll go and tell all of their friends, and they'll be big heroes. Oh, did you see me? Did you see me smashing this window?
They film it, Lowell, and they put it on social media.
Yeah, this is the big, can you imagine for some of these people, this is the major accomplishment of their entire freaking lives.
Oh, yeah.
They go to their grave boasting to their great-grandchildren about smashing a cop car window. This is the biggest thing that they've ever done in their lives. What police at one point, it was so bad, police had to use tear gas. So you can be sure that all the bleeding hearts will come out. Oh, they used tear gas against those poor boys. They shouldn't. Yeah, you just wait for it. Wait for it. You know what, John? You can agonize and theorize all you want about why some people do this kind of thing, have to resort to violence to celebrate. I lay it solely at the feet of the parents. Listen, I refuse to believe that if you've had good, loving parents who taught you respect for yourself, respect for others, and respect for others' property, I just cannot imagine that someone whose parents have taught them that would leap atop a car and try to smash through the roof. I suppose that there may be some idiots, but I think it's for the most part just poor parenting. Most of these young people have grown up believing and experiencing that there are no real consequences, and I fear that that's what's going to happen again. The police arrested 15, but John, in all probability, nothing will happen. Maybe a little bit of community service, probably not even that. Okay, I don't understand it. What would a new cop car cost? What do we look at?
So you asked me that just before we got on the air, and I googled it.
What do you think?
A police car, okay, which are specially designed, they've got special engines in them, etc. Before the lights, before the cages, before the logos, before anything is put on it, a police interceptor is worth about $41,000 US.
US. So you're looking pretty close to 55,000
yep.
Canadian.
Yeah.
So my feeling is that at the very
70,
least,
80 by the time it's all decked out, yeah.
Yeah, my feeling is that at the very least, that these boneheads, these jerkwaters, these assholes should be made to pay for the car. I don't see why the taxpayers should have to in any way pay for a car that's deliberately smashed up by these people. And we have records, we have videos of them showing it. But you know what? You can be very sure. And the reason, of course, one of the reasons they do this, they know nothing's going to happen to them. Mommy and daddy aren't going to be mad at them, The cops aren't going to do anything. And so away they go. Well, I guess in some ways you get what you deserve. If these people knew that if they smash things up, they're going to have to pay. They'll have to pay for it and maybe spend a few weeks or months, maybe a couple of years in jail. Maybe it would stop. But as a society, we become so weak-kneed, so soft on crime that we refuse to deal with this. We can stop it. We can prevent it from happening. But, well, no. We don't want to send young people like this to. It's just a moment of frivolity on baloney. Anyway.
And you know what kills me about it, Lowell? They haven't actually won anything yet, really.
Well, it's a big victory, but as I say, and can you imagine? I mean, if they act up like this and smash things like this, can you imagine if Montreal wins the cup?
That's my point.
The best thing to do right now would be for the law to come down on these people with all 7 feet. Okay, pound them into the ground. A judge should grab a hold of them right now and say, "You're in jail until you pay us $55,000, you bunch, in order to pay for this car." You know what? That would stop it from happening again. But it won't happen. You know that. If anybody has any comments out there, please let us know.
Yep, we've got a couple.
Go through it again, how people get in touch with us.
Of course, we're following in real time on Facebook and on Twitch. So when your comments are there, I will cut and paste them over to my little notepad here and try and get them on the air to Lowell. You can email lowell@blasttheradio.com. You can text and you can call. Here's the number, 613-413-2217. And of course, you can listen on blasttheradio.com. You can also ask your smart speaker, Alexa or Google, to play Blast the Radio, and we are available as a podcast afterwards as well. Pete says they will find him and charge him for destroying government property. I doubt it. Lori says by that age they should have learned that it doesn't make sense to act like that. And Valda says they should be made to pay out of forced labor and be posted on bulletin boards. Shame them.
Good idea. Wouldn't that be great?
Mm-hmm.
While we're on the lovely subject of boneheads and just run-of-the-mill idiots, How about Justin Trudeau's cabinet? Tickle my fanny. Let me just go through this a little bit here, okay? And I'm sure I'm missing some, but let me see. His justice minister, along with his health minister, were fired for doing the right thing, for obeying the law. His finance minister quits when caught in the middle of the WE scandal. His security minister lets thousands of COVID-infected visitors into Canada through our airports. His heritage minister wants to build a new civic hospital and what she calls Tooney's pasture. The Minister of National Defense bungled so badly, our armed forces are now almost left leaderless. Is there anybody left in the upper echelons? I don't know. Our Indigenous Affairs Minister, after years of doing diddly squat to bring fresh water to native reserves, insults one of the most accomplished and best-known Indigenous leaders Canada has ever seen. And then, of course, we've got the lovely Krista Freeland, who shows up at a G7 meeting, some of the world leaders in bare feet. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, there's Trudeau himself. Guilty, I've lost track of how many things he's guilty of. Ethics stumbles and bumbles and rumbles, enough scandals to fill the pages of the National Enquirer. Somebody suggests that I should write a book about all of his scandals. Sorry, I don't think that we could find enough paper to fill the book, honest to God. Beautiful. And you know, I have to tell you, one of the most infuriating things about Carolyn Bennett insulting Jody Wilson-Raybould is that this esteemed Ms. Bennett sat by and did nothing to help her colleague and friend when she really needed a friend, Jody Wilson-Raybould. Trudeau and the entire Liberal Party slandered Jody, dragged her reputation through the mud, while people like Carolyn Bennett and every other female, and for that matter, male, but let's deal with the female members of the cabinet, and the caucus for that matter, sat by and did nothing when they knew that Jody Wilson-Raybould was being abused. The only person in the entire caucus who came to her defense, had any integrity at all, was Jane Philpott, who also lost her job. So here is Carolyn Bennett, who, for all I know, I mean, she's a senior cabinet minister. For all I know, she played a role in the slander against Jody Wilson-Raybould, but absolutely did nothing. As far as I know, never said a peep in defense of Jody. Her friend and colleague just lets her be dragged through the mud of dirty, rotten, filthy politics. And so now, just to top it all off, she insults her former colleague who did nothing wrong. All Jody Wilson did was she tried to obey the law. She did what she's supposed to do, what the law says she's to do. And now we have Carolyn Bennett, our new Indigenous leader, Indigenous minister, insulting Jody Wilson-Raybould. Beautiful. What a bunch of ingrates, eh? Clowns, cowards, stumblebums. What a cabinet. What the hell was Krista Freeland doing in bare feet? Anybody any ideas there? Beautiful. Canada's back, all right. Back. All right, let's talk to Rob. Is it Rob?
My writing's atrocious. I apologize. Yes, Rob is on the line. Go ahead. You're live with Lowell Green.
Yes, Rob.
Hey, Lowell. So first of all, if I was the mayor of Montreal, there'd be nobody in the stands for the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But that would be me. So because of the riots, that'd be it. You want a riot? It'd be the end of that, and there'd be a punishment for them.
Okay.
Second of all, now the cabinet. Boy, I'm glad you mentioned this. I mean, this is the sorriest excuse for a cabinet that I've ever seen. And I'll tell you, I was thinking the other day, after that G7, 8, 10, whatever you call it now, I thought of one good thing about the pandemic, one positive thing. We got to go a full year without that juvenile prime minister and his gaggle of dimwit cabinet ministers from traveling abroad and embarrassing the hell out of us. The only good thing about the pandemic, I mean, that a finance minister who kicks off her shoes and bare feet, and prime minister and cabinet ministers that put a mask on when there's a staged photo, but then apparently, I guess, think that nobody's taking pictures when they're gaggling about and touring around and, with their masks off. I mean, it's just, and then you got the whole talking to the media and wrapping up fish in a newspaper. So, I mean, they're back to touring now, I guess, so it will be constant embarrassment. But this is a sorry excuse for a cabinet. I don't get them at all.
Thank you for the call, Rob. Could not agree with you more, sir. A sorry excuse. Yeah. Very, very apt description. Thank you. Canada is back, all right. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess okay.
Thank you. Shields. Just want to remind you that the major Frigidaire sale comes to an end at the end of this month, which is next Wednesday, right? Thursday is Canada Day,
That's
right?
true, yep.
Hope you're all prepared to celebrate Canada Day. I know they are up in Pakenham. But there's a tremendous sale underway right now. It's the 75th anniversary for Shields, and they've struck a really great deal with Frigidaire. Savings up to $1,200 on Frigidaire. And don't forget, not only that, but some wonderful finance agreements as well. 0 down, 0 interest for 6 months or for 12 months, depending upon the price that you pay. And another advantage dealing with Shields, and that is that when it comes to some of the appliances, dishwashers, for example, that you can order the installation at the same time you get delivery. The person who delivers your appliance can install it as well. So one call does it all. You'll save money. They're good people. Not only that, it's in stock with very rare exceptions. It's right in stock, so they'll have it in your home and installed within 2 or 3 days, probably at the most. Shields. Yeah, just go to the website. It's a wonderful website. If you don't believe me and you just want to check out prices, don't blame you at all. But check them out at shields.ca, SCHEELS.ca. You'll see a really, really good website. Everything that you need to know is right there. Do we go to Barry again? Very briefly, Barry. Yes, I've got some other points I want to make.
I won't take up a lot of your time, Lowell. I had a question for you. I've just got to commend the Speaker of the House for going to fight the Trudeau government in court over all the bullshit that's going on there with him being charged. And I just wanted to ask you, do you know, would he be able to actually, while he's being charged by the Liberal Party, and he's a Liberal, he's the Speaker, appointed Speaker of the House, could he cross the floor?
I really don't know. This is all very confusing, but if you examine it, this is pretty dangerous. I mean, Parliament, don't forget Parliament is all of the parties, okay? So Parliament approved a motion whereby we would get to see some of the records concerning the expelling or the kicking out of 2 Chinese scientists who were working at the top secret lab in Winnipeg. Parliament says we want to see those documents. And the Liberal Party, don't forget, this is the Liberal Party is refusing to do this, because the law says that Parliament is supreme. And in any democracy, Parliament is supposed to be supreme. That's what Parliament is. The will of Parliament is supreme, but here apparently not. So the Parliament has said, we want to see those documents. We have a right to see those documents. The law says they have a right, but they are somehow or other going to some judge, probably a Liberal appointed judge, and try to circumvent this. In other words, the Liberal Party is trying to overrule the will of Parliament. The bastards. This, you talk about, all the time people are talking about dictatorship. Well, I'm sorry, but this is what dictatorship is. When the government of the day, when the will of Parliament is overturned, when the government, the party in power refuses to abide by the will of Parliament, that's called dictatorship. That's not Parliament anymore. Thank you.
I agree with you.
Sorry, I have to move on. We're right out of time. Text, John, you got some text coming in.
Tom says, I agree. Have them pay, not us, regarding the police cars that were turned over in Montreal. Peter says, Carolyn Bennett should go back to her husband's flower shop and disappear. Lori says, and Trudeau will be voted back in. Sonia says, according to the latest poll, he's on track to win a majority. Tom says, I listen to Trudeau. He never, ever answers questions from the media, always skirts the issue and says, we'll be there for you. And Valda says, Jody Wilson-Raybould should have turned and run for PM. This lady gained mass respect across the entire country. I work in an all-male industry, and every one of them voiced their respect and open opinions of what was done to her. I feel great pride in these men.
And yet, let me comment that Jane Philpott, who was the only member of that caucus with the courage and integrity to stand up for her, she also lost her job, and people would not elect her back into office again. So, the voters get what they deserve. And in this case, they turned down one of the few women in caucus with the Liberal Party with any integrity, and they turned her down. I just point that out. A couple of days ago, I pointed out that spending $1 billion on electric buses would reduce world CO2 emissions by only 2% of 3% of 1.6%. Just to quickly review those figures, okay? I won't go through this again, but OC Transpo produces about 2% of Ottawa's emissions. Ottawa produces about 5% of Canada's CO2 emissions, and Canada produces 1.6% of global emissions. Thus, all of our buses today produce only 2% of 5% of 1.6%. Well, Mark Wilson of Osgood, thank you, Mark, has actually done the math on this and says, Lowell, our new $1 billion electric buses will provide a portion of 2%, but even using the 2% number, we will spend $1 billion to reduce emissions 1/2 of 1/1000th of 1%. He's done the math. He says the math works out to 1/2 of 1/1000th of 1% of global emissions. And then he goes on to say, Lowell, that is a fraction of a sneeze by a nit on a gnat's nut.
There it is again.
Or, as I would put it even more succinctly, it's like a little squeaker of a fart in a hurricane. That's what we're going to spend $1 billion. And before we go, first a word about Centennial Glass. Once again, urge you folks who have glass of any kinds, repairs, windows, doors, you're thinking of doing this. And if, once again, I've mentioned this in the past, and that is that if you're not sure about what government's programs may be available, if any, give them a call to Centennial Glass. If you're thinking, for example, of installing new windows, is there a government grant? I don't know, but they sure as heck know it's Centennial Glass. Give them a call. They'll give you all of the information. And if you have a project, they'll give you a price and they'll stick to it. And the price will be very, very reasonable. That's for sure. Centennial Glass, glass of any kind. Industrial Avenue here in Ottawa and in Renfrew. More text, John.
Yeah, Barry follows up. He says, you didn't answer my question. Do you think the speaker could cross the floor to change his party, or would he have to go independent?
I'm sorry, Barry. I thought that I did. I don't know, to be honest with you. It's all very confusing to me. In all of my 60 some odd years in this city broadcasting, I cannot recall a situation like this before where a political party has refused the will of Parliament. I could be wrong. There may be some historians out there, but I searched back. I cannot find another instance like this. And I don't know what the speaker's role could or should be in this, to be honest with you. More text, John.
Yeah, Lori says that John and Lowell have very nice hair, and she looks at her prime minister, and he looks scary. Please send him some scissors. Okay. Sonia says, what is in those papers? It must be really bad if they sue their Speaker of the House to prevent us from seeing them. Anne says, all the councillors voted for these electric buses. No questions asked. Another comment, Trudeau gets his own way. We heard that then. He doesn't care, loves the scandals, just dodges them thanks to the media being too lazy to ask him actual questions that mean something.
Before I go, I want to congratulate, we congratulated you, John. You've been nominated for yet one more award.
Oh, the station has. So.
Station has?
Yeah.
Oh, the station is.
And you're part of that.
You. Before I go, I want to congratulate my good friend for many years, Rob Snow. latest, I probably shouldn't do this, but what the hell, I do a lot of things I'm not supposed to. The latest radio ratings show Rob Snow well out in front of CFRA. To be honest with you, I wondered if this would happen. But it proves once again that hard work, and Rob does work hard, believe me. This is a full-time job for him. He may be on the air for 3 hours, but believe me, this is a full-time job. Work hard. He's got a bright mind, does all kinds of research, follows things properly, isn't afraid. He's absolutely fearless. He will ask the tough question, and he's got a good sense of humor. Have served him very, very well. No doubt, he is today, and I can't think of another person that would supersede him, but I think that Rob Snow today is Canada's leading conservative broadcaster. I really do. Now, there may be a couple of others, but not many left, folks. I believe that Rob Snow today, and we're lucky to have him in this city, I believe that he is Canada's #1 conservative broadcaster. How much longer he will be allowed is if the Trudeau government comes back in again. I suspect that will spell the end of Rob Snow and all conservative talk left. But we'll see what happens. And by the way, CFRA is paying the price for its purge of talent. You know, this does not give me great joy. Many of us, and I'm one of them, who work very hard, not just when we're on the air, but and I think of General Grant. I mean, General Grant was out working in the community over 300 nights a year, year after year after year. Many others, so the late Ernie Calcutt, and you have no idea the number of events I took part in, and the millions of dollars that station was raised and so forth. We worked bloody hard to create something very important in the community, and sadly, it's just being flushed down the toilet. I'm sorry to say. It is still a major force in the community, but sadly, not the kind of force it used to be. I don't understand it. Here again we go, John. In Toronto, I guess they know better what we should be doing in Ottawa. Too bad. Listen, I want to thank you all. Do you have any more texts, John? We got a couple of minutes left here.
Just people backing up. And by the way, that's very high praise coming from you for Rob Snow. And I agree. I worked with him a little bit. I got to see him in action. He is absolutely committed to his craft. And
Yep.
I don't know the man as well as you do, but I certainly respect his work.
One of the things about Rob, I'll say this, is that he's better than I. Now, I do a lot of research, but I'm not quite as adept with the computer as Rob. I know there were times when I was desperate to find out some, particularly with the city of Ottawa. He was very abreast of what was going on in Ottawa and knew how to find it. And so I would go to Rob. I'd sometimes even pick up the phone and phone him when he was touring around or whatever and say, Rob, I need this information. And he, you know what, in about 15 minutes, he'd have it. He knew how to find it on the computer, and he cared enough to do it as well. So congratulations. It's well deserved. But as I say, with Bill C-10, if C-10 passes the Senate, and there may be some question on that, I think that's pretty well the end of me. I'm sure you'll be able to continue, but I don't think that much controversy will be able to exist. Certainly not anti-liberal controversy will continue to exist on social media after Bill C-10. That's the reason they're passing it. Don't ever kid yourself. A couple of texts just to say goodbye here. Yes, John.
Yeah, Randy says, I agree. Rob Snow is the new Lowell Green. CFRA is a shell of what it used to be. Very sad. A bunch of giggling kids and not journalists.
No,
Mike said, yeah, I was there when they let all the news reporters go or turned them into news writers. No more reporting. No, you write so that somebody else can deliver. That never made sense to me, but I digress. Mike says, I love listening to Rob Snow. Always has good topics. Did a great job when he took over for you, Lowell. And Ann says, all this crap I'm convinced is to make Trudeau look good. Oh, look at us, Ottawa people. Vote for us because there are tons of idiot liberals who probably think these electric buses are a good idea. If council had spent this money on something like affordable housing, I could see the benefit. Of course, that is not one of Trudeau's priorities. In fact, he seems to care more about this green religion than actually helping real people who need it.
And you know what? The whole green energy movement has become a cult or a religion. There's no question. Because a lot of what they are saying and a lot of what they're doing doesn't make any sense. I mean, every single day I could go through the amount of power being produced by wind and solar. And only on the best of days would it exceed 10% of our needs here. We've spent billions and billions and billions and continue to spend billions. So, I mean, for people to still continue to want to erect windmills and solar panels in the face of reality, it doesn't work. It does not work. We've got all the evidence we need here. It doesn't work, folks. We've spent billions, continue to spend billions. And on the best of days, we're lucky if we get 10% of our power needs from wind and solar combined. Doesn't work. And yet these green, I don't know, cultists continue to press for it. You know, the definition of insanity is when you continue to do the same thing, expecting the same results. Thank you all. We'll be back on Monday. We're going to go out and get a few things to celebrate Canada Day. Hope you do as well. Thank you. And once again, congratulations to you, John, and to Blast the Radio.
And you're part of it, and we thank you, Lowell.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.